Benefits. We're the brokerage agency that works with Julian and Groove on the benefit plans. And what we're talking about today are the life, short-term disability, long-term disability, and a new offering of voluntary life insurance. The current life insurance and short-term and long-term disability that was with Principal is moved over to Lincoln Financial effective October 1st. So that's already moved actually. But then the voluntary life insurance that's being offered will be effective November 1st. So you have just a little bit more time to make decisions on that. But the employer paid benefits have already been moved from Principal to Lincoln Financial. So there's information in here about the benefits as well. But no changes to the benefits, although the basic life insurance that Julian and Group pays for employees, it was $25,000. It is increased to $50,000 effective October 1st. So if anyone would happen to die, their beneficiary would get $50,000 instead of $25,000. If it's due to an accident, it would be $100,000. So it pays double if it's due to an accident. So just to make you aware of that, but that's the employer paid benefit. So in the folder that everybody got, inside on the right-hand side, the top page is an enrollment form. Now, like I said, we've really already moved you guys over to Lincoln for the life, short-term, and long-term disability, but we still are requesting an enrollment form for the because of the voluntary life insurance. Because on the back, if you don't want it, we do want to know that it was offered to you and you declined it. So that way, if you had any questions later, you can say, you declined it. So this is kind of like a one-time opportunity to get this benefit as well. But first, let me go ahead and go over the basic life and short-term and long-term disability real briefly. Again, the only change to the basic life insurance that the employer pays for you is that it's increased from $25,000 benefit to $50,000. So that's that. The short-term disability benefit is payable if you should become unable to work for more than a week. So if you're unable to work for 7 days, on the 8th day, the short-term disability benefit would pick up and begin to pay a benefit. And it'll pay 66 2/3% of your weekly salary up to $200 a week. So it's not a ton of money, but it'd pay you $200 a week for up to 13 weeks if you become disabled. Now, if you're disabled beyond that 13 weeks, then it would roll over into the long-term disability benefit that would pay 60% of your salary up to $3,000 a month. So it's a little bit better as far as the maximum amount that you could get. So it would pay on a monthly basis for up to 2 years if you remain disabled. So really, statistics show that most disabilities resolve themselves within 2 years. And or if you remain disabled, then you would be eligible for Social Security disability potentially. So this benefit will just pay for up to 2 years or up to age 70. So if you were 69 when you become disabled, it's only going to pay up to age 70. But for everybody in this room, it would be a 2-year maximum benefit on the long-term disability. So there's no changes to those other than moving from Principal to Lincoln Financial. Any questions on those at all? Okay. So then the main reason for the meeting this morning is the voluntary life insurance. So when we say voluntary, we just mean that you pay for it. You choose it and pay for it. You don't have to if you don't want to. It's your choice. So this is being offered to everyone. For employees, you can purchase up to $300,000 of term life insurance or 5 times your annual earnings in $10,000 increments. So you can purchase $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $60,000, however much you want. Now, it is limited as far as a guaranteed issue amount, which just means that you can get up to $80,000 without any medical questions. So it's guaranteed for you. So you can purchase $80,000 for yourself, no medical questions. If you want more than $80,000, then there's an evidence of insurability form that you would need to complete, answer a bunch of medical questions. As long as the answer is pretty much no to everything, then it would be approved and you would get that higher amount. But right now, they're giving you the opportunity to get up to $80,000 without any medical questions. Then, what's nice about this plan is each year, you can increase it by 10 or 20,000 without medical questions, all the way up to that 300,000 maximum, or 5 times your salary. So if you purchase 80,000 now, because you don't have to answer medical questions, next year at this time you can increase it by 10 or 20,000. So you can go to 90,000 or 100,000, no medical questions. So it's a nice opportunity to be able to do that. You can purchase coverage for your spouse in $5,000 increments. So, sorry, my glasses out. $5,000 increments up to 150,000, or it is limited always to half of what you purchase for yourself. So you can't purchase for a spouse unless you purchase for yourself, and the most that you can get on the spouse is half of what you get for yourself. Now the guaranteed issue amount though for a spouse is only $10,000. So if you wanted to cover your spouse and want more than $10,000 on your spouse, then you would have to answer the medical questions for your spouse and get approval for that. Now the tricky part about that is, and I didn't mention in the first meeting, but somebody asked the question, if you decided you want $200,000 on yourself and $100,000 on your spouse, then you have to answer the medical questions for both yourself and your spouse. If your spouse is denied the coverage because there's some medical condition or for whatever reason, then you would never be able to increase the amount on your spouse. So the spouse could still get the $10,000 that's guaranteed issue, but if you're declined for additional amounts each year, you can't increase the spouse coverage. And the same thing for yourself. If you apply for over the $80,000, answer all the medical questions and get turned down, then next year you're still stuck at that $80,000 guaranteed issue amount. You wouldn't be able to increase it. So that's the only tricky part of that I wanted to mention. So if there's any thought that you have any condition and that might make you be declined, then you wouldn't want to do it. You would want to take the guarantee issue amount of $80,000 on yourself or $10,000 on your spouse. So that's just something that we've run into with other groups, and I wouldn't want anyone to get stuck with that. You can purchase coverage for your children also, up to $10,000. Actually, it's a $10,000 benefit for your children, but again, you have to purchase for yourself in order to purchase for your children. Each year for your spouse, you could increase by 5 or 10,000. So each year you can increase your coverage by 10 or 20 and your spouse by 5 or 10 without medical questions. As you get older, you'll see there's a benefit reduction. So once you hit age 65, benefits reduce by 35%. So your amount of coverage would then reduce by 35%. The cost would go down some because it's a lower amount, but just to be aware of that the coverage does reduce and it does terminate at retirement. The other big benefit of this plan, besides being able to purchase life insurance with group rates that tend to be lower, is that it's portable. So if you would leave here, go work somewhere else, you can take this with you and just pay for it at home. They mail you the bill or you do pay online, however you wanted to do it. But it is portable, meaning you can take it with you at these group rates. If you look on the next page where the rate charts are, so there's a rate chart on the front of that second page and on the back of that second page. The front of the page are the life rates based on age brackets for life insurance only. The back is life insurance and accidental death and dismemberment. So if you wanted to purchase the accidental death and dismemberment along with the life insurance, the rate would be on the back. And you can see there's not a big difference. If just looking at, say, the $80,000 benefit for somebody who's 30 to 34, the difference is, it's $1, isn't it? $1 per pay more for the accidental death and dismemberment insurance. So you just might look at the differences there on the rates. So on the front is just the life insurance. On the back is life and accidental death and dismemberment included together when you're looking at the premium rates. So you can see, especially for the young people in the room, the costs are pretty low. The rates are shown per pay, so it's semi-monthly premium amounts. So keep that in mind. Spouse rates are shown there as well for the lower amounts of coverage. They're actually the same rates. Spouse rates are based on the employee age. So if you have an older spouse, you get a better rate because it's based on your age. But if you have a younger spouse, it's still based on your age. So just keep that in mind. And children, the cost for children is $1 per pay for that $10,000 of coverage. And that covers all dependent children, regardless of, how many there are. So if you have 5 children and you purchase the dependent life insurance, they're each covered for $10,000 of life insurance, and you only pay $1 per pay for it. Not per child, but for all of them. Any questions on that? Any questions about the rate chart? So the rates do increase as you age. So if you're 39 right now, you'll pay the rate for someone who's 35 to 39 all of this next year, but January of 2019, the rate would increase to the next age bracket. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that? Just real quick, and I didn't even get into it with first meeting either, I should have. On the left-hand side, there are a few little added benefits that go along with the coverage with Lincoln. The first page is actually an employee assistance program. So there's a little card there at the bottom you can cut out and put in your wallet. You can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, talk to counselors for mental health, family issues, legal information, financial. Well, you guys probably don't need financial, but financial information. So it's really just a employee assistance program that's built into your coverage. There's a travel accident coverage, so if you travel, you have some assistance with issues like, emergency travel arrangements, funds transfer, if you have lost or stolen travel documents, medication issues, evacuation assistance. There's a card there you might want to just stick in your wallet in case of something like that occurring. You do have some help there with that. And then the last one is called Life Keys Services, and this is, they have an online will preparation that you can use for free. Information about identity theft. I don't think it's actually a service or anything, but I think it's just information about identity theft. And then there's support for beneficiaries. So if you were to die, your beneficiary would have support through this program. So when they call to help them understand how they get the life benefit, what they can do with it, how they assign it to the funeral home, or, just different questions, how they can, the different options of payout that they can get for the benefit. So it's just some additional things that are built into the plan for you. And then the enrollment form, again, we're asking everyone to complete them, hopefully by the end of next week, if not sooner. Just give them back to Jennifer. So on this form at the top, you'll just fill out the top part with your name, address, all that information up there. It's already marked yes for the basic life, the short-term and long-term disability, so you don't have to do anything there. And then if you want to enroll in the voluntary life insurance, then you'll mark the box yes. If you also want the AD&D, the accidental death and dismemberment, you'd mark yes there. And really just put in the amount of coverage you want, and then the bi-weekly or the bi-monthly premium over there. If you want the accidental death and dismemberment also, it is just the one premium amount that's shown on the back here. And then the same for spouse, if you're going to cover a spouse, or if you want the child benefit. And then at the bottom is the beneficiary. We always recommend updating your beneficiary information, because if something would happen, it's going to be based on the beneficiary information that is filed here with Julian and Group. So if a principal form is the last form on record, that's who it would be paid out for. So whatever most recent record is what would be used. So we always ask people to update them if possible.